On the docket tonight, a case out of Florida, Tampa, Florida. And if you recall, going back to 2017, the fall of 2017, there was a neighborhood there that was, people were absolutely terrified to go outside because they believed there was a serial killer lurking in their neighborhood. And eventually someone was arrested and has been charged. And the question tonight is, did they get the right person as we prepare for the trial? Michael Ayala, Court TV anchor, has the story.
In the heart of bustling Tampa is Seminole Heights. For nearly 2 months in 2017, it was home to fear and terror.
This is a city that had just lived through Irma and has now spent the last 51 days dealing with a serial killer.
These are the faces of the victims: Benjamin Mitchell, Monica Hoffa, Anthony Neboa, and Ronald Felton, all shot to death.
We had neighbors that were living in fear. We had families that were devastated.
Mitchell was the first victim, shot near a bus stop. Hoffa's body was found in a parking lot. Neboa was killed walking home, and Felton died shot in the back. The victims had no apparent connection, except they were all killed within a half-mile of one another while they were walking alone. The slayings, unprovoked and random, had investigators and the community desperate to catch the killer. The break in the case came from a tip at this McDonald's restaurant. An employee here gave the manager a bag for safekeeping. Inside the bag, a loaded 9mm handgun.
That firearm was used in all 4 murders.
The gun led police to 24-year-old Howell Donaldson III. Donalson admitted he owned the gun, but denied he committed the murders.
You murdered those people. Your phone puts you right there at specific times. We know it's you. Can you please tell us why?
The question goes unanswered, and the conversation ends when Donalson invokes his right to counsel.
I just want to, talk to my attorney.
Donalson's parents are shaken by his arrest.
We're people of faith, and we're going to lean on our faith as we go through this ordeal.
The Donalsons are standing by their child. They have visited him frequently, providing encouragement and support while he is behind bars awaiting trial.
You're trying to keep your strength up, you're exercising a little bit. I'm so broken I can't. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Donalson is not admitted to any of the shootings, seemingly more concerned about his own well-being during a court appearance.
Some unfortunate things to happen to me, and since I've been in there, I've become ill.
Harold Schechter, an expert on serial killers, has authored several books on the subject.
So I would tend to think of him more as a rampage killer, or possibly a spree killer. You know, these kinds of personalities often are incapable of feeling any genuine remorse.
There is no set trial date as of yet for Donalson, but when he goes to court, he will face the families of the victims who lost their loved ones, and he will face the death penalty.
It's just having faith that the right thing's going to be done and that there's going to be justice for what was done to our loved one, Monica.
And joining me now to discuss this case in Orlando, Florida, the former state attorney for the 9th Judicial Circuit, Aramis Ayala. No relation to Michael, at least I don't think so. All right.
No relation.
Aramis, great to have you back on the show. The judge has severed this into 4 different cases, 4 separate trials. But the accusation is this guy is a serial killer. Is it misleading to the juries that are going to hear these cases that they're just going to hear about one case and not understand the full picture? Shouldn't our trials be a search for the truth? And the alleged truth here is that this guy is a serial killer.
You know, I think it's important that we balance it at all times. And under Florida law, Williams rule or similar fact evidence is going to explain to us and make it clear that the court has to make a ruling on whether or not those cases are so similar that the jury should be able to handle this. And in this case, the court ruled that the similarities have not been established by the state of Florida.
That kind of scratches my head. 4 unprovoked and random killings in the same neighborhood. I mean, I've never been to Seminole Heights, but I don't think it's extremely dangerous where we're getting all these murders all the time. I mean, doesn't it strike you as kind of like missing the point here of what was going on and what the reality was?
Absolutely. I think that it is important for the prosecutors to find more patterns that the court can see the similarities, because at this point, the information that they have put forward is not, it doesn't have any similarities as into the time that the days of the week that it happened. It doesn't happen how they were actually killed. They were all shot, but they weren't shot the same amount of time. So the court apparently is looking at extreme similarities in order to establish this, of course, so that they don't get ruled. This is a death penalty case. Everyone is trying to be extra careful with the particular ruling so that it doesn't come back on appeal. But I think that anyone would be to some degree outraged that we're not able to find it when there are 4 victims in the same community dealing with the same shootings and the loss of family members. So it is easy for us to see the similarities, but the court needs to see it as well, and the prosecutors have to present it as such.
Well, and I understand being careful with the death penalty case because they get fully litigated as they should. But so will this jury, when they're making, if there's a conviction, right, in a conviction for murder number 1, will the jury during the penalty phase, do you think, be allowed to hear some evidence that, oh yeah, by the way, we think he's a serial killer?
You know, it's going to be 2 phases. Every death penalty, well, every criminal case has both the guilt phase as well as the penalty phase. And at this point, we don't know what the status is they're going to be able to prove each one. So the court will have to revisit that matter during the penalty phase, as long as each individual each individual case establishes guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If so, then the court can revisit it. I'm sure the prosecution will ask the court to reconsider its ruling on this so that the jury can hear the similar fact on that particular sentencing issue.
Because I would think that's probably one of the main reasons why they're seeking the death penalty, because they believe that he's a serial killer.
Absolutely. You got to think about it, Vinny. When you're looking at the death penalty, all of the heinous, atrocious, those are the things that add up, the aggravators that justify a prosecutor, as they think, seeking death penalty as a justification. And it is the compilation. It was all of them together compiled that is justifying in the prosecutor's mind this. So if they're separated, as the court has ruled, they will be heard separately. It is going to be much more challenging for the prosecutors. So I think they're going to have to try and get additional evidence. They're going to have to bring more information to be able to pull these cases together.
Yeah, because I think the jury will be sitting there and saying, well, yeah, all murders are bad, but what makes this one, put in the category of the worst of the worst? And it's because he's an alleged serial killer. That's my big concern going in. All right. Apparently, according to investigators, he admits that the gun is his, but does not admit to the killing. Does that put the defendant kind of in the corner where they've got to come up with some, and I say come up with, right? They've got to say something to this jury to explain where he got the gun, and it seems he would probably be the only one who would know the answer to that, which means he might have to testify.
Absolutely. I mean, circumstantially speaking, if a person is in possession of a gun that had the ammunition that killed 4 of the people, and everyone knows that it's a serial killer, presumably, this is exactly what the problem is going to be. The defense is, I mean, even though you have the presumption of innocence as a defendant, you still have to deal with the facts, and the facts aren't made up. So how do what's your presumption when you are in possession of the weapon that killed people?
Aramis Ayala, always great to have you on the program, giving us the inside look at the case from down in Florida. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Vinny. Good to be here.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a look on the docket, folks, here. July 16th, a status hearing. So perhaps on the 16th, we'll find out when the first trial date will be for the first of the 4 trials for Howell Donaldson III.